Hi, everybody. My name is Joe Appello. Welcome to All Sports Talk with Joe and George. George took off on us. He's in Florida. He's actually at the Golf Channel doing some work for them, so it's pretty cool. Subbing for George is one of my best friends from high school, Dave Dunleavy. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Joe.
Dave's been here. Dave and I have known each other for over 40 years. We'll put it that way.
Long time.
we don't go any deeper than that. But yeah, Dave, thanks for filling in for George.
My pleasure.
You know, you might have to Wally Pip him. I don't know. He might have a spot next week. We'll see what happens. Okay, we're going to talk about. Today is June 26th, 27th. A lot going on with the NBA. The NBA just had their draft. We're going to go over. Actually, I'll go over it quickly, team by team, to see what we thought about the draft and some of the picks. DeAndre Ayton, the number one pick to Phoenix State. What did you think about him being picked? Did you watch him play at all?
Yeah, I have. I think it was a good pick for Phoenix. Obviously, when you're going to a team where you're hoping to be a savior, anything can happen. But I think it was a good pick. If you had to, pick number one, that would be the guy.
It's funny because the NBA nowadays, the game is going away from traditional two guards, two forwards, and a center. Mm-hmm. It's almost like your five best athletes and the biggest guy plays in the middle. Right. You saw that in the playoffs with the Warriors and LeBron playing all five spots. Right. I think the thing is, in the NBA now, they look for guys that are athletic, which kind of drives me nuts. They say, this guy's so athletic. Well, of course he's athletic. He's a professional athlete. But I guess they mean skilled, fluid, got some special things. With DeAndre Ayton, he's got a 7 foot, I think 10-inch wingspan, so a guy can just,
right.
Which is a new thing nowadays. Like baseball now, it's exit velocity, exit velo is a new term now. In the NBA, it seems like his wingspan is a new thing.
Yeah.
How much, because all these guys do in the NBA, they do the screen and switch thing. They a lot of them are switching all the time. Usually in the old days, you would never switch unless you have to, because you don't want a center on a guard, but vice versa. So Ayton, I think, he's pretty articulate, pretty smart guy. Played in 1 year in Arizona. He went through some scrutiny with his eligibility and whatnot, but he came through it, and now he's going to be, or is a millionaire. Number 2 pick was Marvin Bagley. Sacramento. What do you think of Marvin Bagley? You see him play well? So
I think early on, some people had him as a number one. I'm not. If I had a number one pick, I wouldn't have picked him. I think he's going to be fine, but I think he's not quite as athletic. And I think you're right. The traditional center is kind of dying out in the NBA.
Yeah. Guys can't make it up and down the floor in time. The ball goes down the floor, and then by the time
right, exactly. But I think you have to have that overall talent. Up until probably 5-6 years ago, there wasn't a lot of big guys that primarily could shoot the three. And then you have a team like, say, the Houston Rockets, where they actually shot more threes than twos this year.
Yep. And
you say, can that be right?
Right.
And so you're right, the whole face of basketball. I don't necessarily like it, but that's just the way it is. Because of the athleticism.
I guess the thought process is the more threes you shoot, even though you might miss more, you have a chance to get extra points, obviously, because it's 3-2. And if you miss 10 more, but if you make 10 more, you get,
I think sometimes it takes teams out of the flow because they kind of stand around and look.
Right.
And there isn't that.
Right.
There's still teams that pass the ball 5 or 6, 7 times before they do take a shot. Maybe it is a 3.
Right.
But, the defense.
I think one of the things is like the Warriors have shown us that it works, but they also have 3 or 4 great shooters. So, I mean, you got to have good shooters in that situation. Like there was the one Cleveland game against the Celtics where I think they were, 2 for 41 or something like that. I forget what game, or maybe it was Houston against the Warriors, and it's just like they weren't hitting anything. So then they got blown out. Yeah. So that
hard to win.
Go either way. That could go either way. Yeah, get you back in the game quick, get you out of the game quick.
Yep.
So the thing that's amazing about Marvin Bagley is that he classified early. He should have just graduated from high school this year.
You can't do that anymore, though. I mean,
You can classify early, yeah. As long as you meet your high school requirements and you graduate, you can. It's called classify now, and you can go to your school the second semester of your senior year and enroll, and then when you should be a second semester of your junior year, I should say, and then you should be a senior high school. You can, if you fulfill your high school graduation and you graduate, you can go to college. That's what Bagley did, and that was last. I think I want to say September, end of August last year when he came out of nowhere.
you know, the thing is too about the athleticism, there are a lot more freshmen coming out of college that do well.
All of them.
That do well.
Yeah.
Which used to be not the norm, but it is today.
Yeah, I guess you almost see like guys a senior that stays 4 years, almost like an old man for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Perfect example would be like Grayson Allen, who was four-year player for Duke. Well, I think I want to say off the top of my head, the majority of all these guys, except for Bridges from Villanova and Grayson Allen, were all underclassmen. We're all freshmen or sophomores.
Right.
And you just don't see. And you know what's weird about this draft that my observation was last year, they seem to have a lot of foreign players. And I think actually almost half the first round draft picks were foreign guys. This year was only one, Luka Doncic by Dallas.
That's true.
And which is, it's almost like the NBA said, let's not draft these European guys. We got enough American guys. I'm sure I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I don't know if they would say that, or maybe just with 1 year there's no talent in Europe. It's kind of weird because the year before everybody was high in all these European guys you never heard of, and it's tough enough to make the NBA. If you're at college in the United States, and then you got all these European guys coming over. Luka Doncic on the third pick for Dallas is quite the guy, 6'8", MVP of the Euro League over there, and
so that's a tough one though. I mean, you see the highlights and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But it's the Euro League, and
right.
I mean it's good top-notch basketball. So but again, he can shoot the three. He's a great passer.
Right.
So again, that's kind of
and he can move
a hybrid
6'8".
position.
Yep. Yeah. So that was a good pick. I think Dallas's mindset was that let's pick him, and he's kind of like going to replace Dirk Nowitzki as far as a European flavor that they have in that spot. The fourth pick was Jaren Jackson from Michigan State. His father played in the NBA. Kind of 6'10", skinny guy, can shoot the three. I didn't see him play that much, but he looked, he's the game, the NBA with the big guy to get the three.
Yep.
And then Trae Young went to Atlanta. Trae Young, you say he's like another Steph Curry. I don't think there ever will be another Steph Curry as far as I'm concerned. I think he's the greatest shooter that the game has seen in a long time.
I'm actually surprised he went that high, to be honest with you, because he started out, like crazy. Wow, this is like almost like a Pete Murtovich type, Steph Curry. And then, teams kind of figured out how to play him.
Yep.
It's also what talent you're playing with. I understand that.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Sometimes you got to make the money when you make the money.
Right.
But sometimes it doesn't hurt to stay another year. But then you're taking that risk of injury. That's always the question of developing yourself as a player.
It's the toughest thing.
But you get these guys that come out and all of a sudden it's kind of a blow to their ego, and then they have a tough time making it after that. But he is fun to watch.
Well, in the NBA, it's funny because if you don't get drafted in the first round, you almost don't make the NBA roster. It's not like baseball where you get drafted 6th, 7th, 8th round, or football. Tom Brady 6th round.
Sure.
Basketball, you're drafted late round. You're not.
12 guys.
Your odds are just I mean, look at it in theory. You've got 15 guys on an NBA roster, and every year, how many openings are there on each team? Guys injured, retire. How many guys retire? Not many. Opt out, free agents, all that stuff. But you have over 300 something Division I teams in college, and each team has at least one good player that maybe it's a potential NBA. Yeah. Some team have 2 or 3. Right. So you got all these guys that could come out and vying for those 30, 40, 50 spots in the NBA. The toughest thing about the NBA, I think, once you make it, you're good. You get that. You make it your 3rd or 4th year, and then you get that guaranteed contract. I mean, LeBron James potentially, if he stays with Cleveland, has a 5-year, $200 million contract he could sign. if he opts out, he'll sign a 4-year, $150 million with some other team. So you're talking $35 million as opposed to $40 million. You know, I mean, it's a difference. But but that's you know, in the NBA, I guess they're all looking for that. You know, they get that guaranteed contract and they sign that long-term deal and they're good to go. But it's so. Think about the guys that, you know, from UConn, Napier, some of these other guys that, where are they? They're in some D league in Europe, or they're buried on a bench in the NBA, and those guys are good players, you know, when they were at that level. So it's really interesting concept there. Another guy, number 6 pick, Orlando, was Mo Bamba from Texas. Do you see this guy?
I have not seen that guy.
Seven footer.
I couldn't pronounce it. So
same thing with the same thing with the wingspan. The guy was like but he's very, very intelligent. Speaks a bunch of languages, blah blah blah, and pretty. They say this is what I heard. He was faster from end to end than Russell Westbrook.
No way.
And a couple other guys in the NBA, yeah. John Wall, they say he's faster than any of those guys.
Wow.
So that's how fast he is now. You know, skill-wise, he has some work to do offensively. Defensively, he's very good.
But that's the game. The game is
the
game is speed. It's up and down.
It's a,
you know.
Now the Chicago Bulls took Wendell Carter Jr., who I thought was a great pick. He's from Duke, and he kind of took a back seat to Bagley, I think, during the college season. And some people think he's got a better upside than Bagley does.
I do too.
A little bigger, stronger.
Yep.
Another guy that's he got accepted at Harvard, didn't go. He went to Duke instead. So he's another very, very smart guy, which is excellent. Now Cleveland took Colin Sexton from Alabama, point guard. And did you see after he got drafted, he said, LeBron, he goes, "Let's do it, baby."
Oh yeah.
He just stayed in Cleveland. So
I think that might sway LeBron.
Yeah. LeBron's like, yeah. How old are you? 19? Yeah. My kid's almost as old as you are. Then the Knicks, the good old Knicks, took Kevin Knox from Kentucky, which I liked.
Yeah.
That was a good pick. 6'9". You know,
he can light it up.
Yeah, can shoot. Yeah. Another guy, pretty intelligent. You know, pretty good guy. But then the Knicks in the second round took a guy named Mitchell Robinson. Did you see that?
I did.
Mitchell Robinson never played in college.
Yeah.
He was a McDonald's All-American. And then he went to, I think, Western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, one of those places, and just didn't play. I don't know why he didn't play. But didn't play. Hasn't played a basketball game, competitive basketball game in over a year.
Did you say the Knicks?
The Knicks.
Yeah.
The Knicks.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why the Knicks are the Knicks.
Second round. I mean, yeah. It's amazing.
Really?
And nobody even heard of the guy, and he picked this guy in the second round.
I don't know. They just keep doing it.
Incredible. Now it was interesting pick. The Sixers took Michael Bridges from Villanova.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened with him?
Yeah, you know, it was happy then sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They pick him. His mother is works for the Sixers. Is in the human resource development. She's in charge of the personnel in the Sixers business office, and she's excited, staying at home, Villanova. And then about 15 minutes later, he gets
they're hugging each other at the draft.
Like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
15 minutes later, he gets traded to Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's almost like the harsh reality of
I don't
sports.
know. You know, I like that kid though.
Yeah, a good kid.
I like that kid. He knows
He's
how to
gonna be
win.
going. Yeah. The Villanova guys are special. I mean, most of them. I think Dante DiVincenzo that got drafted. He was one of the first guys to ever come out after a one and done. They got Spellman got drafted too. Another good player for them.
You know, I like them too. Is that they're well coached.
Yep.
But also they're team players.
Yes, they are.
You know, some of these guys that are coming out of programs where. You know, they're kind of they don't have that cast of characters.
Right.
They're not used to doing that. They're not used to sharing, where that's just ingrained in Villanova.
I think to your point too, Trae Young is an excellent point. Exactly what you just said is where he come down, create shots for his teammates. They wouldn't hit him or they wouldn't move without the ball, and I think that's what the NBA is looking at, how much better he can make other players, and that's the whole thing in the NBA draft. Like, can this guy make us a better team, make our other players better? And that's what the better teams do. You know,
right.
They look to see who can make us a better team, and not just who can do what. So Boston College, Jerome Robertson, he got drafted by the Clippers. He was a guard, a good skill player, a good shooter. He's another guy that. Played in the ACC, which is pretty good basketball league. So we'll see what happens with him. But
they may have made room for him with Austin Rivers being traded.
Austin Rivers got traded
yesterday.
Yep, to the Wizards for Gortat.
Yeah.
And some people say that Gortat going to the Clippers is filling a need because DeAndre Jordan's going to go. He's a free agent. I don't know where he's going to go, but he's
So Gortat's one of the few centers in the league.
exactly right.
He's not going to
Yeah.
shoot the three.
He's one of those
But he's
five
a
centers
good,
left.
good shot blocker, good
Yeah.
rebounder.
So I don't know if they're thinking on that, or they thought that maybe Austin Rivers playing for his father, Doc, in LA, maybe they had enough of that. I don't know. I know there was some.
I was there 4 years, so.
Yeah, I mean, he averaged. Austin Rivers averaged 15 a game this year. He played a lot, so a decent year. It's got to be tough playing for your father at the pro level, though. It's got to be, especially if you're like a good player but not a great player.
Well, I think it's a good
dynamic.
move for Washington too, because it gives them that third guard.
Yep.
And Wall has a tendency to get hurt.
And
And you got Beal, and then there's really no one else. I
Some
think,
people think it's the best backcourt in the NBA, those two, but
yeah. But if something happens,
Yeah.
then they have someone else, and it's not just everything kind of got
Right.
thrown on Beal when Wall
Right.
got hurt. And
Right.
some games he stepped up, and some games he didn't.
right.
So.
NBA is such a tough. It's just a tough get. I mean, guys are playing for themselves to some extent. All these guys can shoot and score most of the time. Is who gets the most shots, who gets their shots, who gets all the time. Carmelo Anthony
Oh, God.
exercised his option, $27.9 million for the guy that had the number one. They had a stat. I don't know if they call it blow by stat, where the guys blow by him 44% of the time.
Yeah.
He led the league in the blow by stat, and he's making 27 million. I can't guard you or I. Well, I probably could, but yeah, especially me. But it's just amazing. I mean, why can't you play defense? It's like doing half a job. And,
Well, having somebody like that really hampers the team for a year, because you're stuck with him for a year.
yeah,
He's not going to play defense.
yeah.
And
He needs his 25, 30 shots a game to
Yeah.
do anything. That's all
Right.
he can do.
right.
I watched him play when a little bit. I've seen him play, because I don't MSG. It's not really on TV that much anymore. But when he was with the Knicks, he would go there and just stand there.
Oh.
Just put his hands on his knees, 3-point line, go. Then he go one-on-one, hoist the ball, and then jog back on defense, go back the other way, go in the corner, wouldn't cut, wouldn't send any screens. I was like, what? Is that like you're not? Is that against your,
Yeah.
your mode? You can't help it.
I got to think, also a guy like Westbrook that does
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
that plays good defense, has got to be driving them nuts.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
But you're not going to get rid of him, when you're paying that kind of money.
Yeah.
Not that he would get that money if he left, but if
Yeah.
I was him, I would exercise my option to get $27 million too. It's a
And that's
good-
where like you can parallel a good NBA team like that with like the Patriots, who they don't pay some of these guys the big money that they deserve or could get somewhere else. Like Chandler Jones is a perfect example. He when he was playing for New England, he was on the verge of becoming a
franchise
elite player.
tag.
Yeah, and he wanted big linebacker money. They said, you know what? I'm not paying you that, and ship it to Cleveland. No, it was Jamie Collins. I'm sorry. It was Jamie Collins. Chandler Jones went to Arizona. Jamie Collins, what I'm talking about, linebacker. They shipped it. You want to go play? Go play Cleveland. Well, be 1-31 in 2 years and see how much fun that is, as opposed to being in the Super Bowl every year. So, some of these teams, they take a hard sell, and
I think so. I think in all sports, I think there should be like a 5-year cap on a contract.
yeah.
You get these long contracts where, 10 years. Look at Ellsbury.
Yeah.
He was 31 when they signed him.
You find that more in baseball.
Is
than
he
basketball.
healthy? Could he play? Is he on the roster? I mean, I don't even know.
He's rehabbing again.
It's
yeah.
it's ridiculous, and you put out all this money, and I just think, 5 years, okay, I get it.
Yep.
But you got to still prove your worth. But
Well, the problem is that they're signing guys based on what they've done in the past 3-4 years, and then
Of course.
how do you project where you're going to be in 5 years? Now you got like perfect example is Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers. This guy has 5 years left on. He's 36, breaking down right and left.
Yeah.
36 years old. He has 5 years left on his contract, worth $140 million, guaranteed, and. He can't even run down to first base, and then another one is Albert Pujols, who's, going to be a Hall of Famer. He's got 4 years left at about $120 million, and he's 38. He'll be 42 in that, and that's what happens. And you get these. You see now in baseball, you get these guys coming up that they're ready to play. Andujar, Labor Torres, and Yankees are perfect examples. the Braves, the Phillies, all these young teams now. These guys get
they're
up there.
exciting too to watch.
They're exciting, yeah. They can play. I mean, and you see guys. I don't know. Would you say that it's a tribute to the efficiency or the better coaching or the organization of the minor leagues, where these guys are major league ready now at 21, whereas years ago it'd be 25, 26. I think everything's gotten better as far as facilities, the training, and nutrition. So these guys at 21 and 22 are ready to go, and they're not wowed by the big moment when they get to the big leagues.
Well, they're also, I mean, like the Yankees have a good farm system.
Right.
And you're getting these young guys coming up, and we talk about all these young guys. Who's really the best young guy of all of them? Severino.
Oh, yeah.
So he's young,
Yep.
but they all came up, most of them through the system.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure where the Mets are in their farm system, but it's funny. It's, a couple of years ago when you had the Jeter and Rivera and Teixeira and A-Rod's still there, it's like, boy, we're really getting old.
Yeah.
The Yankees have made a really good recovery.
Absolutely.
Where the Mets,
Mets are a mess.
they're a mess.
They're a mess.
And it's gonna be
How you
years.
fix it? Yeah, I don't know how you fix it. The other thing as pertaining to that, with these, you'll see everyone going to these younger guys all the time, which is fine, but they also have to be talented, and you have to develop the right way. Now, you listen to all the Yankees talk, starting with Judge, Severino, to an interpreter, Torres, Andor, to an interpreter. They say the right things. Yeah. All they say is, I want to help us win a game. My teammates help me out. And whereas years ago, you never heard guys talk like that. You'd be like, yeah, I'm a good hitter. I should be, whatever. And that's the philosophy. We'll talk Yankees because you're a Yankee fan, I'm a Yankee fan. I watch them every game practically, and their philosophy is that this is the Yankee way, and this is how we're doing it. And if you don't like it, and I think they do it the right way,
right,
as compared to other teams. Going back to no facial hair and things like that. You look at guys at Yankees, they look like professional baseball players. Whereas other guys with the dreadlocks and the hair and the beards, and it's not a big deal. But I mean, so they look like. Would you work for IBM and dreadlocks and beard look like a slob? You really wouldn't do that if you had a professional job. So I think the Yankees have really done a great job with philosophy top to bottom, with being professional, and you don't see him do all this all this stuff on the bases and.
So what do you feel that the Mets are doing wrong?
I think it's bottom up. I think they stay with the older players too long, like you said before, like Cabrera, as Dribble Cabrera is a good player, but then you've got Todd Frazier, a good player, but 31.
Yeah.
Why do you think the Yankees didn't want him? Good player, he's got about 220, great fielder, great leader, great guy.
Yeah, good guy in the clubhouse, but
but I mean, is he going to put you over the edge? No. You got a guy like Conforto, who, to me, Conforto is very, very overrated. Everybody talks about his great swing, all blah, 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 but what's he's been? He's been 230. He had 1 year he made the All-Star team. Mm-hmm. But then you got a guy like Brandon Nimmo, who came up. They finally given him a chance to play a little bit. Cespedes, God knows what's wrong with that guy. He hasn't been on the field in like 5-6 weeks. Nobody sees the guy. He has a comment. He did make a comment saying that it didn't matter if I was coming back the way we were playing, I wouldn't make a difference. That's great.
Well, see, there you go. There you go, that attitude.
That's exactly right.
And, like any job, it starts at the top.
Yeah.
And I just think they kind of have to reevaluate who's managing the team. And like, for instance, remember the scorecard incident?
Yeah. How does that happen?
How does that happen?
And you look at watch the Mets, and they're like, poor me, feel sorry for them. And they're always getting hurt. Every guy's hurt. No other team has that many injuries all the time. Syndergaard has got a finger injury. He hasn't pitched in 2-3 weeks.
Your best pitcher.
Cespedes is out, for the longest time. No one knows what his status is. Is it a week, 2 weeks? Oh, he had baseball activities. David Wright actually has been hitting and throwing a little bit, which
he has.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been working. I actually been throwing it, so I'm taking grounders.
He hasn't played since mid last year.
No, 2015 or 16. Oof. 2-3 years now. Yeah.
Wow. I forgot what he looked like.
Yeah. He's just a great guy, great individual. But you know, what's he going to be able to do when he comes back at 35 or 36? You know, the game nowadays, when you're 31, 32, 33, you're on the downside of your career nowadays. The way the baseball's been going.
Well, that goes back to the
incredible.
big contracts where you were just mentioning Pujols and Cabrera. You know, they're signing these big contracts.
Yeah.
Cabrera was a little bit younger, but Pujols was 31, 32, and a 10-year contract, really?
Right. That was when everyone was doing that. Now, you had a lot of guys that didn't get signed this year. A guy like Melky Cabrera got signed, he got cut again, and Jason Worth. I don't think he's playing anywhere. Those are the older guys that have been around that, you know, they just aren't. They're going to younger guys, you know.
So should the Mets, in a sense, clean house and maybe sell off their top prospects like a Syndergaard, possibly?
If I was the Mets, I would keep those guys, but I would bring up any kind of your so-called top prospects if you have any. They got a guy. They brought up Dominic Smith, who he blew it in the spring training when he overslept his first start. I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then he'd always had weight issues, but it looked like he's on top of that. But they brought him up. He's playing a little bit now. They moved him to the outfield. Actually, and here's stuff that the Mets do doesn't make any sense. They put him in left field. The first time he ever played outfield professionally at the major league level
Sounds like the Mets.
against the Astros. The biggest left field in the major leagues. Okay, so what do you do? You know, as opposed to maybe Fenway Park. So the point being is that you're setting the guy up to fail. You know, and the biggest outfield in the majors, the first time out there, I mean, he did all right. I mean, he had a couple of mistakes, but I mean, it's like, why do you do that? You know? And they have another kid down in the minor leagues named Peter Alfonso. It's a first baseman. Older guy. He's older than Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith was the first baseman at AAA, and Alfonso was the first baseman at AA. And now that Dominic has moved up to the pros, Alfonso's at AAA now. 6'2", about 220. Graduated from Florida State. A lot of power. Yeah. Defensively, he's average. But he's going to be. They're looking at him hopefully in a year or two.
But why not? I mean, why not? Maybe after the All-Star break, start
that's
sprinkling these guys in.
Back to your question is like when do you say, okay, we're done. We're not gonna win anything. We're so far behind now. You might as well see if these guys
the All-Star break.
Well, right now the Mets are 31 and 44. Okay, They have the least amount of number of wins in the National League. The Marlins are 31 and 47.
Okay, so let's do some math. Weren't the Mets at one time like 11 and 2?
11 and 1.
11 and 1.
Yep.
All right, so they were 20.
So now
they're
20 and 43. Yeah, since then.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
lose every 2 games for every one they win.
Yeah.
And they find ways to lose games that no one else can do.
Yep.
Just whether it's the Met way or whatever the case may be, and then you got Mickey Callaway comes in there, first year manager, and with the pressure in New York, managing New York could eat you alive.
Yep.
You almost got to be like a Parcells. You go in there and just mess with the media, just be honest with them, kind of kid around with them, but you also got to know what you're doing. Callaway's made some questionable decisions, baseball-wise, and they're all magnified if you're losing games. Like last night, we talked before we got on the air that the Mets were 3-3 in the bottom of the 10th, first and second with no outs, and Cabrera was up. I guess you could consider him their best player. The best hitter he's been, 278, 279 with 13 home runs. Although a lot of that was in the beginning of the year. He's cooled off a lot now. But he's trying to bunt. So, like I told you before, he bunted up in the air. Catcher goes back, drops the ball. Okay, the announcers are going, maybe you shouldn't bunt because he can't bunt. Bunts again, pops up to the pitcher, so he gave him an out. But the next player, Wilbur Flores, was up and gets a base hit to win the game. So that thing with Cabrera is forgotten. Now, if the next guy, Flores, hits into a double play or something, and
well, why would you have one of your more heavy hitters, so to speak, bunt?
That's the question. Did he bunt on his own, or did Callaway call that? He did it before earlier, and Cabrera said he bid it on his own. And Callaway said, he's a veteran, he knows what he's doing, type thing. It doesn't make any sense. Okay.
That's where you need Billy Martin, where Billy Martin would say, "Why are you bunting?"
Taking by the throat.
Yeah. I don't want you to bunt.
No, right.
So it almost seems like maybe it's told to bump.
It's not the end of the world if you bunt, but if you know how to bunt, if you can't bunt, why the hell are you bunting? You know, that goes out to the other question is a lot of debate on whether the National League should adopt a DH, not let these pitchers hit or run the bases like when Tanaka pulled both hammies when he ran from third that one time. You would think a professional athlete could run down to first base without blowing out his hammies. But then I went out and goes, well, it's a different kind of. I said, what do you? Yeah, he just sprints all the time between starts. So all of a sudden between third and home,
before games,
you're on the game, you're pitching. I mean, all of a sudden you're not loose or whatever. So. And then you got like DeGrom last year swung and he hurt his arm. And then, you got guys that have gotten hurt on the bases. So one of the weirdest things I ever saw was 2 years ago, I think it was, Stephen Wright in the Red Sox. He was I think he was 8-0 or 9-0 at that point for the Red Sox that year. And they had a late inning situation, and John Farrell took him and had him pitch run, right? I don't know if you remember this. He pitch ran and blew out his shoulder. Was never the same again. Pitch running, and the guy's not even fast. And he's back now. He's just won a DL the other day.
That's
he's
kind
back
of
now.
That's kind of a dumb move to have a pitcher.
Exactly. I don't know whether it was desperation. They had nobody else left. Yeah, but it was a perfect example. It's like the other thing that drives me nuts about pitchers, though, especially the National League, is why can't you bunt? I mean, you're a starter. You pitch on a Monday. You don't pitch again until Friday or Saturday. What are you doing for 3 days? Hour a day you could bunt. You still do your running, your flat line throwing, whatever workout you have, your weights or whatever you're stretching, whatever particular workout that you're on, a program you're on. Why can't you bunt an hour a day? Why can't you hit an hour a day in the cage?
Well, they all used to be able to bunt. That was a given. I mean, years ago. I mean, most pitchers were pretty good bunters.
Right. I mean, and that can not only win you a game, it also can keep you in a game if you can bunt and help your team win. So again, a pitcher and. You wonder what these guys do all the time. I mean, why can't and they turn around and bunt. You're taught from Little League guys to turn square, shoulder, strike zone high, and then you bend your knees. These guys are poking and dropping and turning. It's like,
they're not.
Are you kidding me?
They're not practicing.
Yeah,
it. I mean, I think the NL. I just actually read something today that probably in 3 years they're going to go to the DH.
Yeah, it's pretty debatable. I don't know. It's going to take a lot of work to get that passed. Because the other thing too, you go to a DH and the National League, it's another payroll thing too. You have another guy you got to pay as a hitter or whatever.
True.
I think there's a big advantage though in the National League. In the World Series when you're in your pitcher's hitting and you're used to double switches and things like that. So I mean it's also done consideration when they go into the league, at the World Series level. Baseball's tough. I mean, you got guys like let's go back to the Yankees a little bit because we know most about them. They got Brandon Drury in the minors now. The guy's batting .365. Tearing it up, can't get on the field, can't even get on the Yankee roster, much as getting playing time. The guy's a good player, 26, 27, 28, whatever the heck he is. I mean, he's at his athletic peak. They brought him in to play third because they weren't sure about Andujar.
He's turned it up too.
Drury gets migraine headaches, goes out. Andujar comes in, and it's just they can't get him out of the lineup now.
Yeah.
How can you get him in? He's one of the best players. I mean, he's been 285, 290. He's got 12 home runs. I mean, playing good defense. Torreyes, another one. He's in the minors now too.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he really could play for most teams.
Absolutely.
Right now.
The only thing you wonder about a guy like Torreyes and some of these other guys is how are they going to hold up in a full year playing all the time? Are they just good utility guys? Like Altuve's a good example, same size as Torreyes, but a little bit broader and bigger. It took him a little while to get in there, but he's got that built that look like he can withstand all that, and great hitter. Torreyes is a little bit smaller. You don't know if he can do it.
He'll be back. Somebody's going to get hurt, obviously, along the lines.
And now there's another thing. Tyler Wade, they brought Tyler Wade up in the beginning of the year, and Tyler Wade can't get out of minors either. I mean, he had his shot. I mean, they loved him in the beginning of the year, and he batted like 135 the first 3 weeks, and they're like, God, he ain't coming back. Clint Frazier, I think, could be a great player, and he can't get on the field. That guy's something else. The problem that happens is that after maybe a little more year of this, those guys are going to say, trade me, and then you get to protect them on the 40-man roster. And after I think 4 years in the minors, they can opt out on that, so they can go wherever they want, kind of thing. So you can't go and control them for like 3-4 years. So
what do you think about Greg Bird? I mean, there's a little grumbling about their. I know he was hurt. It takes a while. I mean, he hasn't played a lot, but a couple of grumblings like they're kind of waiting for him when he's going to kind of catch fire. Sweet swing.
Not impressed. Just not impressed with him. If it was me, I would bring up Drury, and have Drury bat against lefties and have Bird bat against righties and platoon them both. That way you find out if Drury is as good as he looks like he is, and you let Bird work his way back out to what they saw. He had that one hot month a while ago last year or whatever, and that's all they think he is. And I watched him last night. He had a decent game. I think he had 2 singles and a walk or something. But generally speaking, he pops out, doesn't come up with the big, and he's always in a big spot. Decent fielder, good defensively.
And again, he has a tendency to get hurt, so he's missed some big gaps of time even this year. So
that's kind of their excuse.
They want to give him that chance, and I can see that. But I got to think that by the All-Star break, if he's still kind of waddling along,
the fly in the ointment here is Neil Walker. He could play all the same spots too, and he's a switch hitter, and he's bad. He's right around 200. So, but he's a good clubhouse guy, professional hitter. Can give you some clutch hits. So he's on the roster too. So, do you take Walker and let him go, and use Drury type thing? And Gleyber Torres is just so solid at second base. Him and Andujar.
Thank God they got him.
Fantastic, fantastic. And the guy never had more than I don't know if he had double digits home runs in the minors, and he's got 13 or 14 now. He's got more home runs. You're right. He's got more home runs since he brought up than J.D. Martinez has, because he didn't come up until end of April, and he had 3-4 weeks where
I think since like May 10th or something.
He's got more home runs than And J.D. Martinez has 24 home runs. Mookie Betts has 20, but he's come out strong for the Red Sox. Martinez, he's exactly what they need. He's got that big poppy roll where they give him that pop and helps him line up. Now Dustin Pedroia came back and he hurt his knee again. There's a perfect example. Was he 32, 33? Plays so hard.
I mean, I think he's a good guy to have in the clubhouse, but his days going by.
But just breaking down, man. Just the wear and tear.
Yeah, and he really isn't that old.
No.
It's not like he's 36.
No, 32. I mean, he should. He's at the peak and a good leader, and that's why it's a tough game, man. I'm glad they finally got rid of Hanley Ramirez. Not glad. I'm a Yankee fan, so
I wish they still had him.
But Ramirez, I never understood playing Ramirez over Mitch Moreland's a great defensive first baseman, left-hand hitter. They signed him for a 2-year deal, but they kept Ramirez, and they had nowhere to play Moreland and Ramirez, and they had J.D. Martinez, so they had all these 3 guys for 2 spots. So if I get rid of Ramirez, then they have J.D. DH and Moreland play first base all the time.
But Hanley started out really hot. And then
he looks like he'd be a clubhouse nightmare too. That guy,
Well, he has been in the past, not necessily for the Red Sox.
Right. I think when they brought him back, I think Big Papi was like his mentor or whatever, and then Big Papi's gone. I think he probably went back to some of his old ways. But Red Sox Yankees right down to the wire. The funny part about that is that Yankees and Red Sox battle all year long. One wins the division, the other doesn't. The wild card team has a 1-game playoff to get into the playoffs. So you play 162 games, bust your butt, played very well, and then you got 1 game and you'll be done.
You could win 100 games and get a 1-game playoff this year.
And you're going to be playing maybe Seattle or Houston. In a 1 game, so you're going to face Verlander or maybe Paxton in Seattle. Seattle to me is an aberration. I don't think they're that good. I saw them play a little bit. They had won 22 1-1 games at some point. Now think about that. If they lose those games or split those games, they're in second, third, fourth place. And so they were in one of those tears where they won all the close games. And
so I guess Cano will be back.
Oh God!
This season, right?
That was another thing that guy gets suspended, has a broken hand, and they let him serve suspension while he's injured. It makes no sense to me.
Right.
And that he was caught in spring training. He tested positive in spring training.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they gave him all the way until.
So he was appealing it, or?
No, he was caught. He knew it, and they were giving him that time to prepare his defense, what he was going to do and say. And then he gets hurt. And all of a sudden, came out. So that, it's kind of ironic. Because I don't think Major League Baseball wants to suspend somebody, especially a guy like Cano, who's a superstar. They don't want to suspend these guys if they have to. And you almost have to be an idiot to fail a PED test. They tell you when you're doing it. They give you enough advance. There's so much stuff you can mask it. Like he had the masking agent. He was convicted. Now, why would you have a masking agent if you're not on steroids? Type of thing.
Right.
And he said, but then he was in Dominican Republic for the winter, and it's legal. Steroids are legal in Dominican Republic. So in theory, but
Well,
that's another thing.
But you're playing in the United States.
Yeah, exactly, and you get tested. So
Right.
I think a lot of guys are. I don't know. That's another could go far.
Well, I mean, the thing is that probably like in the testing has become so detailed. It's pretty tough, even with masking agents, because they know that you're using
Right.
the masking agent.
Right.
So it's hard to really.
Not sure how long it stays in your system. I mean, if you stop X amount of time.
Depends on what you're using.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think like anything else, there's ways around it. Back to Severino, I just saw some on my notes here. Severino, he averages, does he average? He averages 97.5 miles an hour in the first inning to the fourth inning. The fifth inning to the ninth inning, 98.1. So he gets faster as the game goes on. Isn't that amazing?
I think he had, last night, I forget how many pitches he had, over 100.
Yeah. I think he had the highest pitch for a starter in the majors this year, 100 miles, 0.6 or something like that. And I think 24 starts, he's allowed 1 or 2 runs or less in his career so far. Just amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's something special.
He's on his way to the Cy Young this year.
Yeah, he's 12-2 now. 12-2, 13-2. Yeah, I mean, that's the bona fide number one. Now, there's talk about the Yankees looking for another big line pitcher.
I mean, that could be. I have to say though, that could be the downfall for the Yankees. Though, is starting pitching. Especially if somebody gets hurt.
My answer to that is this: most of the time in those playoffs, it's 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 7. How many pitchers do you need? Because in theory, if it's 4 out of 7, your ace could go 1, 4, and 7. Like the old days, they used to do that. Not so much now. They go 1, 5, and whatever. But with the Yankees, you've got Tanaka, who has pitched big time in big games, and they got Severino, and then you've got CC. CC to me is
He still somehow keeps
it's
doing
tough.
it.
It's tough, man. He he's a bulldog out there. Now, I take CC over Cole Hamels or some of these other guys that are mentioned, Jay Happ that might come over. I mean, why? They have enough hitting, enough good defense that they can overcome most of these games. And if they can get like a Charlie Morton or something, which they would never get, that'd be one thing. But get a guy like Cole Hamels, good. But I'd take CC over Cole Hamels any day of the week. I would.
I think he's got like a 3.18 ERA.
Yeah,
and he keeps dropping. He didn't win the last game, but he pitched great.
Yep.
He didn't get any run support.
And CC is just a.
Speaking of run support, I saw a thing where the Washington Nationals have gotten shut out 7 times this month.
Wow.
This month. And, you got Bryce Harper, you got, I think Ryan Zimmerman's hurt again, but you got Daniel Murphy. And there's a question, too, with Harper. I mean, he's just been horrible this month until recently. He had a couple hits, and they were just talking about whether his free agency would be affected, because it all goes by your last year. I know he's still young,
Right.
But
I would never pay that guy that kind of money. For me personally, just my own personal feeling, I think he's not a good clubhouse guy. I think he's a prima donna. I think he's good, but I wouldn't give him that kind of money. He's looking at $400 million for. Come on.
well, see, there goes. So here's a guy that's what, maybe 28?
No, he's only
27?
He's only 25.
25. Okay.
25.
But do you want to give somebody a 10-year contract?
Exactly.
I'll give you 5.
But someone will do it. Someone might
Someone will do it,
That's the
but
thing.
I think it's just bad for sports.
Well, same thing. Here's a good example. Is Manny Machado. The Baltimore Orioles are 23 and freaking 50, whoever they are. And now you won 23 games with Manny Machado, could be the best shortstop in the league. How many going to win without him? 20? What's the difference? I get rid of his butt so fast and get whatever I can for him, because he's going to go anyway.
Right.
At the end of the year, he's going to go. He'd be free. He's going to leave you. So you might as well get something for him.
Yeah, I think they probably will.
Well, here's the other thing: is Buck Showalter. How does he keep his job? You know, I mean, most managers in that situation, he's been there long enough, win 23 games with that kind of production, you know, there'd be rumblings, but, you know, he's a good baseball guy and all that, but I think he's another guy like him and Tony La Russa and some of these older veteran guys. The game has kind of passed them by, you know. You can see what happened with the Yankees with Joe Girardi is now you got to get like a guy that's into analytics, should know some analytics. I think he does all analytics.
Game's changed.
And yeah, and be like less pressure, more, I wouldn't say a buddy, but more like a mentor to some of these guys as opposed to a hard ass, you know, manager like Billy Martin would never, you know, it never lasts with these guys. And let's compare it to business where, how do you tell someone what to do when they're making 10, 15, 20 times more money than you are? But your theory, you're their boss, you know, and that's another thing in baseball. And it's so statistically driven that it's hard to dispute some of these things, you know.
Well, they were talking the other night about how batting average, it's not meaningless. Yeah. But it's not really the standard
like
anymore.
It used to be, yeah.
You know, it's all these other analytics.
And it's funny, you watch him and say, oh, he's a good hitter. The guy's batting 211. How is that good to you? Because he hits the ball hard once in a while?
So speaking of, I know he's got hurt, but Sanchez, he's batting 191.
191. It's amazing. And he's got a lot of RBIs because he's got everyone on base when he gets up because they're so strong.
A lot of errors, a lot of pass balls. Got a good arm.
Pass balls, yeah.
Really good arm.
Yeah, cannon for an arm, yep. The other thing, let's digress a little bit. Him and these other guys, how come these guys don't learn English when they're in the minors? I'm not being a wise guy, but I mean, you're in America. Do you think you take like an hour a day, someone can tutor you so you can speak to the media? You know what I mean?
I guess it's just easier to have an interpreter.
Yeah. And it was funny, they were saying, I forget who that guy was. It was one of the guys was saying he gets to speak whenever he wants to, but if he doesn't speak English, he doesn't speak to media. Doesn't speak to media after that. Who the heck was that? I forget what it was. But he had it perfect. He was like, no speak English, you know. Football. Janoris Jenkins, they found a body in his house in New Jersey. They're saying it's one of the guys that lives there. They're not saying much else at this point. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Julian Edelman is appealing his PED. Suspension.
What's he looking at? 4 games?
4 games, you know. Yeah. That's usually pro sports don't suspend you unless they got you dead to rights. They're not going to play that game. So it's hardly ever been over. I don't know if it's ever been overturned or even.
But sometimes they'll drop you a game or so.
Yeah.
So it's worth the appeal.
Yeah.
You know.
Andrew Luck was throwing a ball the other day. Do you see that? He was throwing a college ball, a small ball. What is that?
Yeah.
You know,
what's the difference?
Yeah, I don't get that. You throwing a little baby ball, you throw a Nerf ball around the house.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing to me.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that Des Bryant somebody hasn't picked him up? It's been 2 months.
Well, the problem with him, I think, is the money that he expects to make. I mean, he made I think $12 million last year as a guy that can't separate. You know, he's just an average wideout.
You say Des Bryant is average?
Now he is.
Yeah.
Now he is.
Okay.
Yeah. At one point he was one of the better receivers. The last 4 years he has had 1,000 yards in his last 4 years, and he can't get separation. Now, whether that's the quarterback not throwing to him, defenses. I mean, there's all kinds of factors. But if he was any good, the thing is with the Cowboys, if he would have taken less money, I think they would have kept him. But he wanted the next amount of money. Now he's like, uh-oh. So what do I do now? No one's knocking down my door.
Right.
And they're not going to pay him $5 million. Why would you pay a guy like that $5 million when you get guys out of college? You could pay for the rookie, $800,000 a year, and it could be just as good, if not better, and you're not going to bring the attitude.
Yeah, he's got an attitude too.
Yeah.
So I think if he was like a good guy, like a Jerry Rice type, I think somebody'd take a shot at him.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. Some of these guys bring all kinds of baggage and they're prima donnas, and in the middle of the locker room, it's like you don't need this stuff, and then they start like what's the name? Brandon Marshall was a perfect example of the Giants. He always had attitude problems, and then last year the guy had one catch. I think he had one catch all year. They got hurt.
Is that the game where all 3 of them got hurt?
Yeah, it's just like
Odell.
Who needs these guys? Yeah. I hope the Giants sign Odell at some point. I don't know if you can.
I think they will.
I think they will too. I think they'll get it done. I don't know if you can do stuff with character issues and give them you get in trouble and this happens. I don't know how that works, but I mean I think he.
They pretty much give him a long rope. Last couple of years.
Yeah, I think it's a different attitude with Shermer though, as a new coach. I think it's a new GM. I think it's a different a different locker room there than it was with McAdoo. McAdoo was a knucklehead. How about the NBA had their awards the other night? See James Harden won the MVP.
I think he should have got it.
I think he should have got it too, but I think they should have a most valuable player and the best player.
Well, isn't the most valuable player the best player?
Not necessarily. I think LeBron James is the best player.
You know, this year is really evident that you're right. I mean, LeBron is the best player in the NBA.
Bar none.
Right.
Yep.
He had his best year.
Yeah.
They don't count the playoffs in the voting, but wow, what he did in the playoffs. I mean, he kind of shouldered the team. But
I mean, he could take 4 high school kids and win 20 games in the NBA. Not really, but yeah. But I mean, and how about Dwayne Casey getting coach of the year? He was
he's with the Pistons now.
With the Pistons.
Yeah.
How about that rookie of the year? You got Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell. And what do you think about that vote? That was interesting.
So I wasn't clear on the story with Ben Simmons. He did play.
Simmons was a rookie. It's the second year, but technically he was a rookie because he didn't play in any games last year. Yeah. He was hurt. So it's almost like a redshirt year.
Yeah. Well,
so he was around the league all year, around the players.
Well, isn't it the same, for instance, in baseball? If you don't have enough at bats the next year, I think you're still considered a rookie.
Right. So he was still considered a rookie. Yeah. Just a matter of, is that year of hanging around the guys and working out, is that an advantage to someone coming right out of college?
Yeah,
which is probably the debate. Yeah. Who cares? I mean, it's just now LeBron. Where do you think LeBron's going to go? What's he going to do?
Oh boy,
$1 million question. He has the 29th is when he declares if he's coming back or not.
Yeah. I know we had talked about what he would make. So, is the incentive that he would make more re-signing with Cleveland, and is that his main incentive?
I think the big thing with him, if I'm LeBron, I go in there to Dan Snyder, whatever, Dan Gilbert, his name is. Listen. If I'm going to come back, this is what we got to do. A, B, C, D, E. Can we do these things? Whether it be, all right, we got to re-sign Kevin Love. We got to get rid of J.R. Smith. We got to do all these things that he has thought about that would make them a better team. We got a point guard. We got Sexton as a point guard. Good. All right. We got Kevin Love. Good shooter. Good. What other parts you're going to give me? What can we get for our salary caps and things like that? Because this stuff is so complicated. No one knows how to figure all that stuff out. And I think he wants to stay. I really do, because you go somewhere else, and first of all, you got to go to a coach that you like and respect. Right. Okay, and then you got to go to a place where you want to go to Philadelphia with all these young guys, Embiid and Simmons, these like little baby guys. LeBron's a man. These guys are kids.
Same thing with the Lakers.
The Lakers, same exact thing. Yeah. Exact thing. Yeah. Now, you want to go to LA because you're going to be in the movies, this and that. Now, the other thing is his oldest son is in 8th grade this year, going in 8th grade. So he's going to be in high school next year, the year that LeBron would actually be wherever he's going to be. And
he can dunk, by the way.
Can he dunk?
His son.
Really?
Yeah, they had a clip the other day.
you know he's going to be amazing. Yeah. We have 2 minutes left. So I think that's a big factor. The kids in Cleveland like, I love it here. I'm going to stay here. Why are we going to move? You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Let me just finish it up.
Right.
He's not going to go to Houston. He's not going to go to Warriors. He's not going to go.
He's got to go somewhere where he's got to win, though.
Yeah, exactly right.
So you're right. There's 13 free agents that are all-stars up there.
Yeah.
So they got to bring one of those.
Now, can they have the salary cap? Do they have the money to get some of these guys? That's the thing that we don't know. Yeah. Or does LeBron take less money in order to bring some of his boys on, which could happen?
He may do that. He may say, well, I'm only going to make this much if I go somewhere. I'll give you this back.
Why not?
Right.
Why not?
You give it to me it's somewhere down the road after I'm retired, maybe.
Not like he can't pay his bills or anything.
No.
Like he doesn't have enough money to pay the rent.
Right.
I mean,
no, that's going to be interesting.
I think he stays. I was hoping in the heart of hearts, I know it never happened, I was hoping to go to the Knicks. So you have the Knicks and the Celtics, and you have the Warriors and Houston. And you have
you go to the Knicks.
Get the old NBA. No, he's not going to that horse and pony show. He's not going there. That's for damn sure.
No.
But the Knicks they're still a mess. They're still a mess.
Oh, my God. They're like the Nets. They're like the Mets.
When they hired Isaiah Thomas years ago and Phil Jackson, and they say James Dolan's like the worst owner in the NBA too. So I mean that's got to be a tough thing to play for that guy.
Right.
And Porzingis, you don't know if he's coming back next year. There's no guarantees that he's health-wise he'll be back. I mean that's the downside of having these big tall guys with the legs and the ankles. Yao Ming, some of these guys. Greg Oden, some of these guys. it's just too much under frames.
It is.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just
Absolutely.
what are you gonna last? You know. Now you got that's pretty much it. What else are we talking about? Football coming up. You got camp starts. Okay. All right, Dave. Did a great job today.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for
yeah.
Thanks for having me on. It was fun filling in.
All right.
All right.
We're done.